Ba-boom.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. It is a
Ooh.
beautiful Sunday afternoon, April 28th, and this is episode
69.
69. We made it. And this is going to be the last episode of the podcast.
You think so?
So we can end it on 69.
Well, we can start season 2.
Oh yeah, there we go. There you go. That's an idea. And yeah, it was an interesting work week. On Thursday, we had Employee Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
And so instead of working, we went to the bowling alley. And good Lord, I did not realize how out of shape I am.
What do you mean? You're out of breath?
No, that was on Thursday. Like I said, it's Sunday today. I'm still sore. Like limping around because my left glute is killing me. And also my shoulder, elbow, wrist, forearm, my whole right arm is toast. I mean, we only bowled for like 3 hours, but it was a lot of fun. It was
okay.
cool.
That was my next question. Yeah, that's a long time. I mean, if you're feeling it, then it's definitely more than an hour. How did you do? Did you win?
Oh no, I bowled. Well, I wasn't taking it seriously. I was doing trick shots and really dumb things. Like I can't take much seriously these days. There's no point.
Bowling's fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. Got to hang out with because the teams are divided up randomly, and so a couple members on my team were people I had, even though I work with them, it's a big enough company where I'd never met them before. So it was fun getting to know them.
Oh, nice. That's always nice to do. I love bowling.
Yeah,
I don't do it as often as I'd like.
Yeah, this was the first time I've been bowling in probably 4 or 5 years now.
Have you been to Top Golf?
No, I've always wanted to try it though.
Oh, okay. So I might do that for my birthday. So
okay,
I'll definitely let you know. It's very they have it set up very similar to bowling. Like you have your own pod kind of thing, and your table and all that, and then then you can play games.
Nice.
Like games on the screen.
I love going to the driving range, and from my understanding, Top Golf is pretty similar, right?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's a driving range, and then they have different games, like how far someone gets, or if you get it near some, like a target or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's very similar.
Oh, cool!
Definitely worth it. It's a far drive though, like an hour drive from here.
Oh, well, still that would be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, one thing I did forget to mention at the top was I want to believe Adam.
Yes, everyone.
And I am Lord Topher, King of Podcasts.
And why did you bestow that title?
I just watched Doom 2, and it just being a Lord and Emperor and all that stuff kind of got stuck in my head.
How'd you like it?
It was okay. I mean, obviously, it was really good. I thought like the first half was way too slow for me. I understand
so slow.
Like I understand why it needed to be slow, like the build up. I would have loved to see more of the stuff that happens in the second half, because it's really only like the last 15-20 minutes where there's that big battle and the fight scenes and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I wanted more action. And there was a couple things that didn't. Can I spoil it? I'm not gonna spoil.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like the first one was the same thing, where like the last 15 minutes was worth it, and then it was just excruciatingly.
I felt more with the first one. I felt a lot more engaged though, even with the slow stuff, because it even starts out with basically a big battle, and then there's other stuff.
Oh yeah.
But there's a scene in the second one where one of the main characters is like, "I'm leaving." And then they're immediately in the next scene. And I was just kind of like, what? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But there's definitely a part 3, right? It's not going to just end like that.
Well, I think if I remember correctly from reading Dune, I think that was the end of book 1.
Oh.
I think the next they're going to make. I'm fairly confident they're going to make more Dune movies, but the next one is the beginning of book 2.
Gotcha. All right, so it'd be like Dune 2 part 1 or something.
Well, it's going to be Dune Messiah. That's the book. That's book 2.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it ended too. He's Messiah. There's a lot of like religious stuff in there.
It's very it's closer. Yeah, I mean, people
They talk
wanted.
about Jin in there too, right?
I was
Messiah,
gonna say
Jin.
the Fremen are very heavily based off of Middle Eastern cultures.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
obvious.
yeah, it's very obvious. It's super obvious.
Yeah. Even the words or even their names are
Mhm.
very like
Well,
Arabic.
in the movie, I understand why they did this. In the movie, they call it a holy war, but Frank Herbert called it the jihad, which
Okay.
big hint there as to who
Right.
was influencing his writings.
Anyway, great movies.
Yeah,
I downloaded the Audible, so I've been listening to those. For some reason, the Audible books are more engaging, seem more engaging than the movies.
yeah. Didn't I've read the listened to the audiobooks. Don't they have like multiple people playing characters?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really good. Really good production.
Put your right hand in the box. And I stand by it. The 1970s Dune movie, I still love that. It's so trippy and weird.
Man, I need to rewatch it because the last time I watched it with a group of people, and they're like, "This is so weird." And everyone's just making fun of it. So I need to rewatch it like alone.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I personally think it's great. I know there was a lot of production problems with it, but it's
yeah.
just so off the wall bonkers. It was amazing.
And the acting wasn't bad if I remember.
No, it wasn't. Patrick
Yeah.
Stewart was in it.
Right.
And I can't Kyle McClanahan or whatever, the guy from
Oh,
Twin Peaks. He
yeah,
played
yeah. He was in it too. That's right.
Paul. He's
Yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Atreides. Yeah.
He's in Fallout too, right? He's the
Yeah,
dad.
he's the dad in Fallout. That's right.
Did you ever get into Twin Peaks?
I still haven't. I've been
Okay.
meaning to. It's just I'm so turned. My first watch of it a few years ago, I was so like, I was like,
Yeah.
get to the cool, creepy stuff, and it just kept being about like relationship drama, and
Yep.
that keeps holding me back from sitting down and actually
Mhm.
watching it.
I get it. I mean, yeah, and the good stuff doesn't happen until towards the end. Same thing with season 2, not until towards the end. But season 3 is all weird, just mind f stuff.
Yeah, I gotta get there because I love the concept of it. Like
Hmm.
I get it, and it's my type of it's the type of thing I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm just anytime, even like no matter what movie, like even Dune, like anytime it's about Paul and Chani, I'm just going like, just get past it. I don't care about any of this. Just like get to the cool stuff. I don't care
Yeah,
about these
I
two
wonder because
people.
it was on TV too. During the 90s.
Twin Peaks, yeah.
Yeah,
It was about that time where every show was relationship stuff.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Well,
and we are
yeah.
here to talk about aliens and UAPs and UFOs and government conspiracies. Yeah, we cover a lot of topics on this show.
Yeah, and today, I mean, just I guess as a summary, we're gonna get into some plasma UFOs. Elon also he rejected. He did a comment where he rejected the MH370 videos, and saying that he knows about aliens. There was the Kingman Arizona crash leak, proving that it's real. The one in 1953.
Mhm, mhm.
We'll go through that, and then AARO came out, of course, with their report on, if you remember, that UFO incident in Florida, on a Florida base. So they came out saying it's a UFO. I'm sorry, a balloon, not a UFO, of course. And then there's that new whistleblower, Jason Sands. We're going to cover a little bit, and then just some stuff happening with the FOIA process and how it's great, but it can't really be trusted that much, basically. And then yeah, mostly those, and then the protesters. I mean, and the protests. We'll cover that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe at the end.
Well, let's get to it.
All right. So, all right, let's get to this. Oh, so last week's episode we called World War III averted, and this is based on Pepe Escobar. He did a final update on this, and he's saying the nuclear F-35 mystery final update. It is now fully established that the information was confirmed independently by the intel of a big power. I'm not saying who the big power is. The information was not relayed by Russia, so it's not Russian propaganda, he's saying. It then reached a third nation, and from that to me. The players involved are not backing down an inch from the information. 5, I was privately provided the 2 examples of the accuracy of recent intel by the big power on 2 separate big developments in West Asia. The source that contacted me notes that sometimes, quote, sometimes, after news has entered the media space, there's no choice but not to provide clarification. So, and if people don't know what he's talking about, is that when Israel wanted to or retaliated against Iran's retaliation after the embassy bombing, there was a leak saying that they were planning on detonating a nuke on top of Tehran, which would cause an EMP pulse and knock out all of their electrical grids. But apparently, when this plane took off and left Jordanian airspace, it was shot down by Russia. That's the leak. And Pepe Escobar has a great reputation, and he's not wavering from it. He's saying that his leak is solid and that it's true. So,
just skimming through this really quick.
Pretty crazy stuff, huh? When you think about it, like
sum it all up via the source who originally received the information, capital T, capital I.
The information. Yeah.
Sum it all up. If anyone should be accused of fabrication, it is the source. But in this case, the source remains confident of the accuracy. So just doubling down on the information that was leaked last week.
Pretty much. So that hopefully, I mean, I'm glad that there are people doing that, trying to avert World War III. We don't need a nuclear holocaust. I mean, that would have definitely brought in the United States if that happened.
Oh, yeah.
But if an EMP did go off, that means they wouldn't be able to launch their missiles, right? Something like that. I mean, right? I'm thinking.
Here's the thing that confuses me. Maybe I'm misremembering, but there are just straight up EMP bombs, right? You don't have to use
there are.
So why not just launch an EMP if that's your goal? Why do the nuke?
I don't know. Seems like a good question.
That sounds like a really roundabout way of ruining a country's electrical grid.
I wonder. So what's the difference with EMP bomb and a nuke? It's just
okay. So a nuclear weapon. I don't know. I don't understand the science behind it, but a split second before a nuclear explosion happens, there's also essentially an electrical explosion that happens. Like not really an electrical explosion, but an EMP, like electro whatever
pulse. Yeah, pulse. Electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah, that is released a second before a nuclear explosion. It's irrelevant because obviously the nuclear explosion clears out everything anyway.
Right.
But an EMP, there is no physical explosion. It just releases the energy that knocks down all the electrical stuff.
So yeah, I mean,
I could have an EMP in my room and set it off, and I'd be fine. But obviously, if I have a nuke in my room and set it off, I would not be fine.
Was that in Ocean's 11 or Ocean's 12? One of them, they're using EMP where they take out.
I just watched that movie recently. It's Ocean's 11.
Such a good movie, huh?
It really is.
Yeah, classic. All right, so that's what's going on there. There's still obviously, I mean, that area, that region is just primed for something really big to happen. So I'm glad there are people out there who are trying to avert that. True or not, maybe it's a placebo effect. So plasma NHI footage from Plasmoid Anomalies study group. So have you seen this?
I have. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this at all.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Seem like I always thought plasma was. I mean, I know it's not one of the three states. It's not solid. It's not liquid. It's not gas.
Right, it's its own state. Yeah,
but I figured it would be a little bit more liquid looking. But it is like shifting around.
Yeah, and changing shapes, but it still looks rigid and like it has some shape to it. Yeah, like you said, a plasma kind of looks like a bubble, although it's an electromagnetic effect.
Yeah, so, very, very cool. Do you have any information on where this is from?
This was here's a source, the Miami UFO. They wait a minute. I think they go through a lot of them on this channel. So it's Plasmoid Anomalies Study Group. And yeah, they have a bunch of these.
Very strange. I mean, obviously balloons don't change shapes like that.
No.
I can't imagine it being an actual craft though either.
Exactly. So that's what they're thinking. These things are intelligent
Life forms,
plasma beings, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that would make them truly alien.
Right.
I've mentioned on the show 100 times, but everyone, when you say the word alien, they think of a short gray,
Right.
2 arms, 2 legs, big eyes, big head. But if something like this showed up on your front doorstep, I mean, yeah, what the hell do you do?
And maybe that's how they then use like the experiencer's like consciousness to change to something that makes
Make them
sense.
look like, yeah, that could be
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. So then when I was in a not a space, I think it was a stream, and we were talking about plasmoids, and someone mentioned something about Kordelewski clouds, which I never heard of before.
I haven't heard of that either.
Yeah, and they're called, also named ghost moons, are concentrations of dust that exist at the L4 and L5 points of the Earth Moon system. So apparently we have other moons, but
they're just little clusters of, they're not like visible to the naked eye, and they're just little balls of dust essentially.
Right, but they're in a huge plasma field, like here. See how L4 is a huge field around it, and that's what's keeping it in orbit. And they're just sitting there stationary, and they're just pieces of dust. Like no one even, you can hardly see them.
Yeah, I've never heard of this either, and I tend to get into the weird space stuff too. Interesting.
Yeah, they were first seen by Kordelewski in 1956. But here, let me get to the article. There's an article that they confirmed it. New discovery confirms that Earth has 2 other moons orbiting it, made completely of dust, in 2018. And they said it has the same distance as our known moon. They're 9 times wider than our planet, and we weren't even sure they were there until now.
Well, that is just,
isn't that bizarre?
That is bizarre. So it's less of it's an orbiting cloud more than anything.
Yeah, it's an orbiting cloud that sits there too. And that person that mentioned it in the stream was saying was because we're talking about intelligent plasmas, and then he brought that up. He's like, look into this. So
was this one of our streams?
No, it was an MH370 stream, and I was in there, and we were discovering discussing plasma, and this guy mentioned to look into that. So that's how they would look like if you can see it.
Yeah.
An artist rendition of a Kordelewski cloud.
Huh. Well, that is wild.
I know. There's always something more to discover. Always.
Always.
So yeah, I guess you don't have to have lots of matter for mass. You know, it's something else. I mean, is that then they're talking about? Is that what the dark matter is? They're thinking. You know, and it's just plasma, and here it is. Lagrange 0.5 L5. Look how tiny it is. Each of the particles reflects sunlight, but the vast darkness of space has made them very hard to detect until recently. The astronomers and physicists behind the study confirmed the cloud's existence by putting polarized filters on their cameras, which allowed them to reveal the light that is reflected off the particles. And it just sits there, even though it's tiny.
So ominous.
I know. What if it's like an alien satellite, an alien spy satellite?
Well, it could hang out up there with the Black Knight satellite as well.
Wouldn't it be nice to see that thing?
Oh, so cool.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, remember we covered the UFO in New York. Someone was on a plane and it went by really quick, and we slowed it down and it looked like a cylinder. So that's been all over the news, but we covered it 2 weeks ago.
We're ahead of the curve here, folks.
Yes, we are. You heard it here first. And here's Elon Musk rejects alien connection to missing flight MH370. Says, if I did, I would post about it on X instantly. He means if he knew about aliens. Where's his response? The Hodge twins. They actually shared Ashton Forbes' drone video, which there's new videos now of them like other colors. I mean, I don't know. This footage is so amazing. Yeah, he responds to it. He goes, I've seen no evidence of aliens. If I did, I would 100% post about it on X instantly. SpaceX has almost 6,000 satellites in orbit, and not once have we had to maneuver around aliens.
That's exactly what the Illuminati would say.
That's such a stupid. I mean, first of all, Ashton has never said it's aliens, and neither do the Hodge twins. He said he says it's the U.S. government, especially that we had a drone there and filmed it and all that stuff. So I don't know why he says aliens. Oops. And plus, the guy's got a secret clearance. He's not going to mention it. Even if he knew it, he wouldn't mention it because he'd lose his clearance and probably his contracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
His 6,000 satellites are telecommunication satellites. They're not even spy satellites.
He must. I have a hard time believing he doesn't have some sort of camera system on those satellites.
Yeah, so they have to have something, right? Maybe just to see what's going on around them, or like he said, to maneuver. And plus, if these MH370 videos are real, then it proves that we have technology way beyond the billions of money he's spending on ancient rocket science. You know,
I wonder if it's one of those things that the U.S. government thought they knew what it did, like, but it was just really a test to see what they did. Does that make sense? And they just sent those drones out, and they go, "Let's see what happens when we set the drones on these, or the spheres on the plane, and just let's see what happens." I mean, we know.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't
it was
care.
Pretty much a test.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like they don't care who was on there, kind of thing.
I mean, from on the MH370, was there anyone like noteworthy? Not to say that the victims are not noteworthy, but just like there was no one, Elon Musk wasn't on those planes. Bill Gates wasn't.
No, but there were scientists, the full team of scientists going to China. They were part of an SAP group. They made chipsets. God, what does the chipsets do now? Some metamaterial company. So they had to save them. The story is that the plane was on fire because they had lots of lithium batteries on there, and they caught fire, and the plane was going to crash. And that then they saved these scientists because it would have just, I guess they were really important. And they saved these scientists by teleporting it to Diego Garcia Island.
Huh.
That's the theory that's behind it. Not aliens, but because aliens don't care about us, why would they save the plane? And then what was the drone doing there taking the footage? And why was the satellite taking the footage? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it gets interesting every single day, MH370. It's not going anywhere.
No.
No one has come forward either.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
So that there's Elon Musk saying the same thing he's always been saying. And then there was the leak of Kingman UFO from Christopher Mellon. It was a FOIA leak, and these are signal messages between him and a senior high-level U.S. government official.
Blank and I are making huge progress getting into the C-R program. What's that?
Crash retrieval
program. He plans to meet with you at some point. The blank would be slack-jawed if they found out what we now know. Christopher Mellon's response completely blacked out. But he does say 45 feet. Looks like 45 in the behind it.
Versus something, yeah.
And then the USG official says, right now we haven't gone that far back. We're dealing with the recovered UAP that landed in Kingman, Arizona in the 50s. We're vacuuming up info as blank gets read in. We now know the management structure and security control systems and ownership of the crash retrieval program. We also know who recovers landed or crashed UAPs under what authorities. We also know that a still highly classified memo by a Secretary of the U.S. Air Force in the 50s is still in effect to maintain the cover on UAPs. We also know that the SES-2, who's the Air Force gatekeeper, blacked out, and the little thing next to it says, name redacted here, but
provided to Congress. Crazy. So that's why Congress still wants to have hearings, obviously, because they know a lot more than we do.
Yeah, very, very interesting leak. And this is circa 2020.
This is circa 2020 when the conversation was happening.
Okay, this is completely off topic. I was taught growing up that circa means plus or minus 5 years. Is that what you know circa to be?
No, circa for me is around around this date is circa.
I was misled by my third grade teacher. Mrs. Bloom, I'm coming after you.
So she told you is 5 years plus or minus?
Yeah, so if something was circa 2020, it was 2015, between 2015 and 2025. That's why I was asking.
Oh, okay.
You know what? You talk. I'm gonna look it up because now I'm curious.
Okay. All right. So and now of course the Daily Star covers this this leak. The Kingman case from 1953. Witnesses reported seeing a fleet of saucer-like objects in the sky. 3 were claimed to have crashed, with 1 appearing to be undamaged. The U.S. military is said to have been testing a powerful new radar system near the desert town around the time of the incident. Now, there's some people that say that it's either radar or it's actually the nukes, because Upshot Knothole happened the exact same time. We tested around 11 nukes in Nevada. And actually, there's actually a really good clip from George Knapp from 2020. He covered Kingman, Arizona. This is obviously way before the leak, but it's cool. He lets us. I can play this. It's not that long. Let's take a listen. George Knapp.
George Knapp.
It depends on who you're asking.
But there was another equally mysterious crash much closer to home, just outside of Kingman, Arizona. According to investigators, more than 1 of these objects fell from the sky.
DI team's George Knapp reports.
Spring 1953, the Atomic Energy Commission unleashed a series of massive explosions at the Nevada test site, codenamed Upshot Knothole. In the same time period, across the state line in Arizona, witnesses reported seeing a fleet of 8 flying saucer-type craft engaged in what looked like a dogfight. This is an artist's rendition of the event. According to historian and former museum curator Harry Drew, 3 of those unknown craft ended up on the ground near Kingman in May 1953.
So I didn't go into this with a preconceived notion that I would find the Kingman UFO anything. I never expected a second one. And I thought I was all done. And then the information about the third one on the 24th came to me.
Drew spent a decade poring through old records and newspaper accounts, tracking down original witnesses, and eventually stitched together a tale far more complicated than the granddaddy of UFO crash stories, Roswell. In his public lectures, Drew explains how the Kingman story first surfaced in 1973, years before Roswell became well known. A newspaper ran a story about a retired Nevada test site technician named Arthur Stansel, who said in May 1953, he and other team members were transported from Indian Springs, now Creech Air Base, to a remote desert location in Arizona to recover a secret experimental craft that had crashed. Stansel was a real person who believed the downed craft was far beyond any known technology. In his book, 7 Days in May, Harry
Kirkpatrick would say, "Yeah, see, that was a human special access program, and he was just confused and didn't know what he was looking at. It was totally human."
The Russians.
Yes, or the Russians, or the Chinese. Oh no, it's too early. Chinese.
Yeah, too early.
Yeah.
Drew explains what became of the 3 craft that fell from the sky. One, he says, was obliterated when it smashed into the mountainside that towers above Kingman, setting off a fire. Another, resembling this artist's drawing, was found intact in a desert area miles outside of Kingman. And a third came down hard, clipped a rocky butte, then crashed adjacent to a small reservoir. Military security camped out around the site until the recovery team arrived and took the unknown craft back to a base in Nevada.
According to Harry Drew and his investigations, this is the spot, the exact location where in May 1953 an unknown craft crashed to the earth after clipping that butte.
Drew says he found proof that military teams camped around.
Guy's not even going to bring a metal detector?
Huh?
He's not even going to bring a metal detector?
I'm sure that's how he found these, right?
Yeah.
But if he found U.S. government, like what are those called, the meal kits, and stuff like that.
MREs.
MREs, yeah. So I mean, they were there. There was something there. So I mean, it's just nuts how, and there was aliens that were in those crafts as well. So now, yes, it could be radar that brought them down. It's probably most likely nukes, and that's why we don't see as many crashes anymore because we're not testing nukes. And these craft use electromagnetic ways of travel and propulsion. So of course, these nukes in the atmosphere and on the ground are going to mess with their whatever they have with their technology, and they always crash with their navigation. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's cool that these things are coming out. Of course, AARO's not going to say anything, right? They still say there's no evidence, but all these things, all these leaks from the U.S. government are coming about crash retrievals. If we had stuff like that in the 50s, that early, it was 1953. You know, if we seriously had that type of technology, then, you know, who knows what the hell they have.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, as we know, technology grows exponentially.
Right. I mean, I don't even want to know because the power they have is just so scary. And it could be why we're allowed to be so much in debt. You know, I mean, so much is behind closed doors. We have no idea what's going on. But if you just look at what we can see, you know, a country that's $33+ trillion in debt, we're accumulating like $1 trillion a year in debt. Like we apparently won't even be able to afford our interest soon. You know, it's just weird that countries are allowed to do that unless there's something else going on that it has stuff that scares the hell out of everyone else, and is allowed to do that.
Oh, we can afford it. We'll just print more money.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and we're just allowed to print it. You know, print the money like it doesn't mean anything, and countries just allow us. I mean, I know there's BRICS, but you know, it's not going to do anything.
I had a economy professor in college. I don't know if I mentioned on the show, but I was a business major, and so I had to take economy classes, and one of them was just adamant about saying, who cares if we owe other countries some money? He's just going like, we just keep giving them IOUs and they keep accepting it. So why
keep accepting it? Yeah.
Why bother actually paying them if they're just going to keep accepting IOUs? And I just thought that was kind of ridiculous, because at some point when the bill is due, I mean, the bill has been due for a really long time. Someone's going to come collect or attempt to collect.
Yeah, and that happened in the past. We were a gold-backed currency until the 70s. I think France came in to collect, and that's when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard and made us into the petrodollar, where that all oil will be priced in US dollars. So since then, we've been backed by oil. And then he went to, I think Kissinger went to Saudi Arabia or something, and made a deal with them that they always price their oil in dollars, and that we would protect them. That was the deal. So since then, it's just been petrodollar.
It all adds up. When we look at, for instance, 9/11, and you see where all the hijackers came from. It wasn't Afghanistan or Pakistan.
Nope.
Iran or Iraq.
Right. And we didn't go after, exactly. We didn't go after that country. We went after countries that had nothing to do with it. So the Eglin UFO, promoted by Matt Gaetz, turns out in all likelihood to be a balloon. Thanks, Mick West.
Unreal.
Yes. And here are the key findings by AARO. Moderate confidence. That's not good. Moderate confidence. So AARO assesses the object was a lighter than air object, such as a large form factor balloon, a meteorological balloon, a large mylar balloon, or a large commercial outdoor helium-filled lighting balloon. AARO has moderate confidence in its identification of the object. AARO bases this assessment on a thorough review of the data collected, official pilot accounts of the object's description and behavior, laboratory testing of a commercial lighting balloon determined to have similar physical characteristics to the object described in the pilot's report. It looks like they were going out looking for something that might be like it. A reconstruction of the flight geometry and the sun angle at the time of the observation. So they're telling us that an F-18, F-16 pilot does not know the difference between a balloon or a strange object. I mean, this is the one that he took a picture of with his phone because his radar malfunction. He had it basically he blamed the UFO for his malfunctioning equipment, and AARO's saying that was just a coincidence, that it was a faulty something that did it. Where is it?
I didn't realize I was muted. I was going to say, sure, it happens all the time with balloons. All these pilots who never spend any time in the air, they fly by some sort of anomalous object, and it screws with their electronics on board. And obviously, balloons do that constantly.
Yeah, balloons do that constantly, and then they're saying that's just a coincidence. And here it is today, AARO, and then the report is here. So we can.
You didn't happen to respond to this, did you? Because I would have had some very choice words for this Mick West character.
Yeah, usually, I mean, I probably did on my personal account, but not on our not on the podcast account. I try to keep our comments not too racy, but
right, yeah. Probably keep it.
So here's AARO. So this is the picture that was taken. It's unclassified. Okay, and then this is what they saw is these Mylar lighting balloons. So what the hell was it doing up? What was it 4,000 feet, 2,500 feet?
Yeah, I'm. What is the purpose of that lighting balloon? Like, I can imagine there's some outdoor event at night, and for some reason you can't use traditional like lamps or lighting, and so you make a giant balloon with a light on it.
I guess, and it gives it leverage. So you don't have to put up like.
But it'd be moving all around.
Exactly.
And then what? You just go, okay, event's over, and you just release it. It doesn't.
No, they're tethered. But yeah,
I understand. But why is it? Yeah. If they're tethered, they can't be 20,000, 30,000 feet in the sky.
There you go. Exactly. So Merrick VR, he's a great journalist. He's saying AARO is Blue Book 2.0.
Truth.
The Eglin UAP was likely something akin to a large commercial lighting balloon. Nonsense, he says. I called the Florida-based company that makes these high-end industrial products. They told me their balloons do not come untethered randomly.
Well, yeah. See, this guy had the same exact idea that I did, but yeah. I still can't find the reasoning for having a balloon that casts light. Like, for instance, let's say you're doing an archaeological dig out in the desert and it's nighttime. You would just put up floodlights. You wouldn't buy this giant balloon. Does it say what they're used for?
I don't know. So who's the company that makes these backyard lighting balloons? This is Kirkpatrick.
Backyard lighting balloons. Why? I mean, I guess I could see it, but it just
maybe it's cheaper than the ones than floodlights.
You're telling me that a house with a backyard, one, doesn't have lights on that back side of the house, and two, it's cheaper to buy one of these $1,000 balloons than it is to just buy a series of lights.
I don't know. It must be that it's cheaper. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of instead of just using floodlights, like mobile floodlights, right? Do mobile floodlights need like a lot of energy, like backup generators and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they're things you can just plug into your outside wall socket, but I'm not positive on that.
Yeah, and these don't look like they need too much. So what is this guy saying? He's saying, so because they told you over the phone that they haven't had one accidentally released, it's automatically back to aliens. Did they show you their inventory taken before and after the date of the incident for you to cross-reference? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, 4 high-end industrial balloons in a diamond formation moving very slowly or stationary in 80-mile-per-hour winds. Absurd.
Yeah. This whole... God, fuck AARO. They really suck at their jobs. Or they're doing it on purpose, which is more likely the case.
Probably on purpose. Even Gates is pissed off. He goes, Congressman speaks out. AARO hiding truth about UFO sighting in Florida. I mean, just defund them. These bastards.
Yeah, we should treat our government like, who's it? The guy in Argentina who keeps shredding government.
Oh yeah, Milei.
Yeah, our government needs a leader like him. Shut down these stupid people because all they do is lie.
Yeah.
Cut the CIA into a million pieces and let them spread into the wind. But then when you say that, you get shot in the head in the back of a limo.
So here's Gates. He goes, last year when I attempted to receive a briefing with the flight crew who witnessed the UAP at Eglin Air Force Base, the Air Force tried to block me. This report by the AARO is incomplete and does not reflect all of the information that I was shown.
Well, that's not suspicious.
I believe all the information regarding the sightings should be released to the public, including pictures from the pilots and radar signatures, which have not been released.
I mean, God, I almost want to put a ban on us talking about AARO. I mean, it's just, it's pointless at this point. Everything they say is a goddamn lie.
But yeah, I think it's good for us to point out to people that it is a goddamn lie, and people should not listen to them. They're not for transparency. They can make up any excuse they want except for it being anomalous or a craft of any kind. They're not even allowed to say it's a craft of any kind, whether it's China, Russia, or ours. They just love to say it's balloons.
So lazy. You misidentified Venus. You saw swamp gas.
Yeah, it's the same thing all over again. And to speak about our government officials being incompetent. Did you hear this? The director of NASA.
Let's give it a listen. Oh, I think I did, yes, but it's worth playing.
Okay.
And we're trying to get at what's the Chinese are doing, you think, on the backside of the moon. Do you have any insights on that?
They are going to have a lander on the far side of the moon, which is the side that's always in dark. We're not planning to go there.
And why not? And what's the benefit of doing so?
We don't know what's on the backside of the moon, so that would be something that they would discover. But our decision is that it's more profitable for us to go to the South Pole of the moon because we think that's where the water is.
So why do you think they made that decision? I'm curious.
I have no idea.
And we're trying to get at
So the director of NASA just said that the far side of the moon is always dark, which is complete bullshit. And he has no idea why China would go, but they're gonna go and discover stuff. I mean, it just shows you who they put at the top of these organizations. You know, really competent guys.
Is it? I mean, it's back to that question again. Is it incompetence or is it extreme competence? Clearly, this guy was put in this position because he's going to repeat whatever the government wants him to repeat.
Yeah. I mean, he's the one that came out with the NASA report, which is complete hogwash, right? They need more data when they have like 75 years of data.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who is this?
And don't forget, these are the same people that said that they got rid of the technology that let us get to the moon in the first place. So NASA does not have the best reputation in my book.
Yeah, just like AARO.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious the intelligence community just runs
everything.
All of these. Yeah. There is no dark side of the moon, exactly. Backside, far side. It's so funny. And here is the new whistleblower.
USAF, the Air Force, tried to recruit me into UFO crash team, but I declined for gross reason. Former U.S. Air Force intelligence officer claims to have heard firsthand evidence of research into crashed UFOs with results so strange that it blows his mind.
Great picture, Daily Star. So yeah, Grush said that he interviewed 40 people. He's saying this guy is one of them, one of the 40. So Jason Sands claims to have firsthand knowledge of the U.S. government's secret UFO reverse engineering program and says that he even met and communicated telepathically with an alien being.
These guys got to learn small bites.
Yeah, I mean,
don't serve the whole burger, just serve the bites.
He had a really lengthy Twitter space. I think it was like 14 hours or something, and Doty was in there, and I never followed Doty, but I went to his Twitter, and he was disclosing all these things. And the reason why he was disclosing numbers, like all these reports that people can look up. But it doesn't matter, because when all those Blue Book reports and other reports went from the Air Force to the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, they changed all the numbers. So I was on archive.org looking for these numbers. Nothing came up. And then I realized that was Defense Intelligence Agency. And we can go through that later. But then I went to their UFO files, and I found something really cool. So
he thought it was gross because he didn't want to pick up bodies and things like that. That's his reasoning.
Oh, poor guy. I mean, yeah, I guess I get that. But still, wouldn't you want to see them?
I would.
Sands was part of a red team monitoring the scientists' communications and watching for potential leaks. He says that as he did that, he heard the researchers discussing contact with multiple alien races.
On the missions, we did intercept traffic that dealt with what I found very strange. Some of those dealt with some of the other races that are involved. They mentioned the tall whites, the grays. We heard things like that.
Labs examining material retrieved from UAP crashes. And yeah, like you said, he refused and offered to join one. Dummy.
Yeah, he screwed up there. Well, maybe not. I'm pretty sure the retirement plan is they take you out into the desert and put a bullet in the back of the
head. Sands claims the U.S. Air Force program to investigate these crafts has been running for around 80 years, but the scientists were quite frustrated with how much little progress they have made over that time. Man, I see they keep saying that a lot of these guys, he says the earliest documents he saw dated from 1954. Yeah.
Cool photo.
This is from that hoax movie, right?
I think so.
Alien. Yeah. Apparently, scientists working in the wider program looking at captured tech from earthly enemies at least had something to go on. He said the scientists were completely fine with researching that because it was stuff that had Russian writing on it or Chinese writing, so they could decipher. So all the real stuff we couldn't do anything about, apparently. Other stuff was just totally dumbfounding the scientists and the engineers.
Sand says one alien talked to him telepathically. After speaking to other people involved with the program, he is convinced that they have seen some things, ghosts and interdimensional beings, all kinds of different things. It just blows my mind and probably blows a lot of other people's minds too. Well, if it's true, then yeah, would be pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and he did an official statement because people are coming after him. I mean, I don't know, there's not too much here other than I think, yeah, he's going after the ICIG, the NDAA whistleblower. So he's trying to get protections first before coming out. Oh, and he's going to be in James Fox's new documentary, apparently.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, oh, yeah. So this is what it's about. Sorry. So in a space, here you go. He goes, in recent conversations, particularly during the Spaced Out radio broadcast, I clarified that while 20 and Back, you know what 20 and Back is? It's
no.
It's a secret space program where they take people, recruits, put them in projects in space, and I don't know, on different planets or bases in Mars or whatever, and then they regress them 20 years and bring them back.
I didn't know that's what it's called, but I have heard that theory.
Yeah,
there was that guy a few years back that was running for president, I think in 2016, who was talking about this.
The blue alien guy.
I can't remember if that was him or not, but a lot of people have talked about this.
Yeah, so it refers to a significant, though difficult, experience within the programs I was part of. It appears that this crucial part of my statement was omitted in some posts, leading to misunderstandings about my testimony. I'm committed to providing more information soon to further clarify the challenging aspects of my experience with the program. Oh, yeah. Eric Davis. So, okay, so here's Eric Davis also talking about him. Eric is very famous in the community. And he goes, Sands turned out to be either a liar or a believer of his own BS. He was never vetted, and his story keeps changing. People I collaborate with have met him and realized that his claims don't hold water. The only thing that they felt was certain from meeting Sands is that he likely did work at U.S. Air Force bases. That's what Eric Davis says. So I guess time will tell with this guy, Sands. But we should, I still keep an open mind. I'm 50-50, I guess, or maybe 60% disinformation, 40% real. I don't know.
I don't think any of this is real, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think when people come out with these intense, fantastical stories with multiple elements to it, I think it's attention seeking.
Yeah, makes sense. Although he says he's not making money out of it. Hey, how come this is not? And I told you from that one stream that Doty was in, I started going through the DIA UFO files, and I found this one. And the U.S. government took this guy really seriously. He's a guy. His name is Captain Bruce Cathy. And this document's from 17th July 1967, Department of Defense Intelligence Information Report. UFO Global Grid Theory, New Zealand. So, and they met with the guy. The U.S. government did. So this guy says these things are so hard to navigate, obviously. Wait, is this the one? Anyway, so is this still about him? No, it's not. How come that? Where'd it go? Anyway, he's an author of a book, apparently. Oh, Global. Here it is. So he mathematically proved that there is, or that he identified that there's a global grid. There's an ancient one that got destroyed, okay, and that a new one was being built, and that's how underground, some kind of grid. That's how these UFOs navigate and fly in Earth's atmosphere. But that would make sense too, especially if we're exploding nukes, and it might, mess that up.
Yeah, I could see that.
But his book is amazing, and the U.S. government took this guy seriously, and they forwarded all his stuff back to DC. Anyway, in his book, I have to borrow it for an hour. But yeah, I'll also link up his book. It's called Harmonic 33.
Okay, cool.
And he goes through. You should read it too. It's not that hard of a read, but he goes through basically how he understands this grid has been made mathematically. He was able to predict with his math through this, if France was exploding UFOs. He said the Tunguska event in Russia in the early 1900s,
1908, I believe.
1908, yeah, is when this grid malfunctions and there's a UFO using it, that it explodes. And he's saying that's what happened here. He was saying that there's an antenna somewhere in the Caribbean that malfunctioned.
But so I'm assuming he talks about how he made that connection in these notes someplace.
Yes,
a lot of these are just kind of like off the wall. Where
he's a scientist and it's all math. He calls them Saucerians because he went through a lot of reports. He talks about it in the book, but he went through a lot of reports and tried to figure out a pattern that these vehicles are using, and then figured out this grid that they're using. It's not really random, and it's always in certain areas.
Okay.
So yeah, very cool. John Greenwald. So apparently there's some bad blood between Grush and Kirkpatrick, and that's also been leaked in FOIA documents.
Shocker.
Yeah, and Kirkpatrick wanted to meet Grush when he became director of AARO, and Grush didn't do it. He said, there's bad blood between us, and I don't trust him or AARO. Apparently, he was worried that they were going to try and bait him to make him say something illegal or leak something so they can jail him.
That sounds exactly accurate. think Grush had a really good thought process there.
Yeah, Grush knows what he's talking about. So there is a statement from Kirkpatrick. It goes, I barely knew Grush. He never worked for me. He briefed me once that I can recall when I was deputy director of U.S. Spacecom. I mean, that's high up, man. Perhaps around 2019. I believe he came with Jay Stratton to discuss starting their research in the UAP task force. I don't recall him prior to that time. I don't know any more now than I did at the time of those messages that what he's talking about when he refers to bad blood since 2015. I was on assignment elsewhere at that time. He continues, I had many people come to brief me. I also have a reputation for not suffering fools. And when briefers come in ill-prepared and deliver a poorly thought-through thesis, I will pick out the flaws in the argument. Perhaps he was one of those. No idea.
What a douchebag.
Such a dick, huh?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's why he's out. And here's that message, that FOIA message. Again, Signal. The U.S. government uses Signal. It just shows you that it is secure for people out there still using WhatsApp.
Do you have the phone number and or email for David Grush? I would like to invite him in for an interview. Yeah, but let me ask him first. He has bad blood with Sean going back to 2015. I'll tell him that you only want to talk to him. Sounds like plan. Thank you.
Yeah, and he never went. Good for him. Because they probably would have just, who knows what they would have done with that information, like not report it.
They would have done what they've been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
Sit on it, change it, and call it a freaking balloon.
Apparently, Kirkpatrick is part of that group that's been after Grush internally. Remember, because that was his complaint to the ICIG, reprisals, and Kirkpatrick was one of those guys apparently. So, of course, they put him in charge of AARO, right?
Of course.
So something else with FOIA. The email records of Dr. James Lukatsky, and this is the guy who was the head of OSAP and ATIP from the DIA, have been destroyed. And John Greenwald has confirmed it. Waiting on word for what records retention schedule. Okay, see, he's always helping the government. Records retention schedule author. The guy still pretty much works for the government, and he worked for OSAP and ATIP, and he's the one who leaked that we have a live craft in his book that was approved. So that's why John did a FOIA, because he wanted to see emails confirming that. But nope, they have been destroyed.
Normal process. At my job that has nothing to do with government work or UFOs or aliens, we don't get rid of anything. We've got boxes and rooms of boxes full of paperwork from nearly a decade ago. But the government apparently just gets to destroy stuff.
Yeah, especially UAP stuff. So, greetings. Your question was understood, and the response is the same. There are no email records of James Lukatsky as a result of records retention schedules. I guess UAP schedule is different. So, this is what we said. So, FOIA is not a good process for disclosure after all. And then he responds to us. And he goes, people are so quick to blame FOIA for everything, yet FOIA has nothing to do with this issue. Those bashing the FOIA process need to learn the difference between that and what are records retention schedules and how they differ. We wrote back saying, all we're saying that if the government can just delete or alter records whenever it wants because they know it can be released through FOIA, then what's the point? The best FOIA documents were the ones released before the act was passed, since they've all been careful since then. Yeah, and then here's another post under that saying the FOIA kind of doesn't work. The government kind of knows it doesn't work. And in some cases, that's kind of good from their perspective. Colonel Carl Nell. So,
Man,
yeah.
I was just going to say how I'm just so sick of how laughably evil our government is.
In everything, right? I mean, is there like one thing that they're not? Like, I guess we are still a free people, in some sense, because we were like, I'm just remembering like COVID, like our system really did protect us for those that were fighting for freedom. And, the system did not become totally tyrannical, even though it wanted to. So there is still some semblance of, freedom in the system, but so much of it has just been taken over.
Yeah, man. Sad state of affairs.
Yeah, Freedom of Information Act is inadequate in disclosing UAP records, subject to mandatory declassification review. Some UAP records are exempt under Atomic Energy Act of 1954, evading mandatory declassification. So, I mean, of course, Greenwald's going to say he's going to get angry at that statement that we made, because that's his business. His business is FOIA,
Mm-hmm.
and he uses it to, he uses it against Grush, like Elizondo. Elizondo actually did tweet after this saying, "This is exactly what they did to me." You know, if they erase his record, I guess Lazar would be one of them too.
Yep.
They would erase records, so they're just erasing records, even though it's we, the people, own those records. We pay for them, you know, through our taxes. And these people are like, will do anything to keep this subject secret. I mean, is any other subject get this seriously? Just this one.
I don't know.
Do you remember the Las Vegas?
I do, and I know you said you didn't believe him, but they're essentially maintaining their story that this did happen.
That's just me. I look at the kid. I don't like his body language. I don't like the way he talks about it. I just, you know, that's just me. I mean, I'm pretty good at telling when someone's lying, but I'm open for me to be wrong. And just, you know, he's like crossing his arms when he's being asked in this interview with News Nation. But they went out and visited the family again, and yeah, they are sticking by. There was something. There was another video. Did you see that one? I don't know why I don't have it linked up. There was another video where there was a figure in one of the cell phone videos. There was a figure that showed up, they said, but that was cloaked. And then they took like a 3D rendering or something and made a CGI thing showing that it's a creature walking that's really tall. I don't think that's in here. It might be.
No, I don't think I saw that.
Damn, why didn't I?
Driven into hiding.
Let's
laying out of a year.
Yeah, see, it was this video.
Finally speaking publicly at length and laying out exactly what he saw that night and what has happened since.
And I found out.
Let's go to the interview with him. Here he is.
Of our conversation.
What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Start dug in, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing the truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like not so, like a couple seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it. The alien, demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
A demon.
A demon?
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed. That once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it is. You know, only God knows what it was. But I'm thinking it's like something bad. You know, not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing?
Yes, it was moving. It was. You could see like he was breathing, like he was
right
like,
here. Okay,
like, pissed off.
You know,
like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother.
He was looking at me. Yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. I remember he was growling like a dog, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know. I think I was praying or something like that, and they just let me go. That's when I went inside, and you know, I saw my dad. I mean, I saw it too.
It felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh yeah, I couldn't move. Yeah.
You were paralyzed at the sight of this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't move.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone.
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
That, you know, like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, you know. I'm not doing it for if I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that. I made no money off this. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no, hopefully not, no. I hope God, no. Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
All right, yeah. So
I don't know. I mean, I don't think he looks like he's lying. I think he looks like he's uncomfortable talking about it. And
yeah,
a lot of people who experience aliens talk about the absolute, you basically go into lizard brain mode and you can't move.
Yeah.
I mean, that part's really common. And like he said, he didn't use this to get famous. He just posted his story and what he saw. The fact that his dad and brother saw it too. I don't know. I don't think his body language indicated lying to me. I just think he was probably uncomfortable being on camera and telling a crazy ass story like that.
Yeah, I've always thought he's a liar, but that's just me.
To a degree
So
of
here's
scientific certainty.
this. This is something crazy though. So they actually,
we can take a video and look at whether or not there is an artificial artifact added to it or not. And in this case, we can definitively say, to a degree of scientific certainty, that this entity, this thing in the video is there in the physical reality in which the Kenmore family is also there. Like, this is so critical because you can clearly see through the slots in the fence that there is a leg motion moving from the right to the left side of the screen. And clearly it is behind there. So this isn't just like a head floating in space. This is a head of that is somehow that does not have full opacity, that the opacity of the head of the shadow is only at about 33% opacity versus a normal shadow, which would be at 100% opacity, or an object in the screen, which is at 100%.
so it's like cloaking itself.
That you did, it's just what you were able to determine.
Technology we know that they have and use.
Yep, there it is.
In the shadows, possibly creating its own shadow or smoky filter or cloaking technique is not only cloaking itself from the people there, but cloaking itself from the camera itself, in that it's minimizing our ability to identify pixels inside of that shadow.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, I don't like the 3D modeling thing. I think that's a really dumb. I mean, that's full conjecture at that point. I mean,
it is strange. Again, you're talking about 9 foot tall, 10 foot tall beings, right? And if the craft's going to have to be huge. I'm sorry, it's not going to sit there and crash on a backyard.
Or it's got its own little pocket dimension in there where they have a giant city in the size of a 3 foot.
Could be that too.
I mean, there's plenty of options. It's all conjecture, but I don't think seeing that little shadow above the fence makes it a 10-foot tall alien. I mean, it could have been many number of things.
Yeah, because he had many light sources too, and they couldn't figure out. It could have been a shadow from all these different light sources that they had going there.
Yeah.
So here's also Merrick VR. He dug up some great documents how the U.S. Air Force has lied about UAP interfering with nuclear missiles. Hynek interviewed the witnesses. Air Force documents cited verbatim by Hynek confirms communications interference. Contractor confirms interference. Border Patrol officer confirms interference. This is in the 60s. They're calling it static. This is in 1966. Missile crew in North Dakota suddenly found that his radio transmissions were being interrupted by static. At the time, he was sheltered in a concrete capsule 60 feet below the ground. While he was trying to clear up the problem, other Air Force personnel on the surface reported seeing a UFO, an unidentified flying object, high in the sky. It had a bright red light, and it appeared to be alternately climbing and descending. Simultaneously, a radar crew on the ground picked up the UFO at 100,000 feet. What makes the report especially arresting is the fact that another incident occurred near the base a few days earlier. A police officer, a reliable man, saw in broad daylight what he called an object on its edge floating down the side of a hill, wobbling from side to side. It's always the wobbling.
Yeah, that one always weirds me out.
Yeah, who knows what that is? And this is also Christian Science Monitor. Air Force sternly denies UFO Minuteman incident. Here we go. The static. Mr. Fowler says he was told the communications between land strike teams, armed jeep patrols, dispatched to a spot where the first UFO appeared to land an intercepting aircraft were completely jammed by strong radar interference. Moreover, he says missile site control found intense static disrupting communications with its strike teams. 1966.
Wow.
Yeah. And then here's another document. So I mean, if they can, so they're basically saying, listen, we can shut down your missiles if you plan to launch them, kind of thing, right? Or even before you launch anything, we have the capability of just shutting them down, and that might be a reason why also it's kept secret, that we as citizens are like, well, if our government can't defend us from whatever, and these things can just show up at our bases.
Yeah, but man, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with these jackasses having the nukes anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I wouldn't be too upset if they were getting shut down.
Yeah, I've said before too, is that maybe our government are the bad guys.
And, they're definitely the bad guys.
Yeah, it's apparent, isn't it? It's apparent.
Yeah, everything we cover on this show proves that they're the bad guys.
Yeah, and it's not like we used to be the good guys, or okay, maybe never. Who knows? But at least the propaganda has convinced us that we are the good guys on the good side of history.
Right.
Right. So these are the Mike 6 missile site. Control sent to strike team to check. When the team was about 10 miles from the landing site, static disrupted radio contact with them. So anyway, it's just more evidence that UFOs have messed with our missile silos. Democratic congressman wants hearings on UFO sightings. This is a new guy.
We're finally moving across the aisle there. Actually, I think there have been other Democratic senators.
Yeah, it's like half, or maybe more Republicans. The thing is, well, Schumer's really for it, right? So the Democrat Party, it's okay for them to be part of it. I've never heard of this guy though, Andre Carson of Indiana. He wants Congress to conduct hearings on purported sightings of UFOs in the wake of a Pentagon report examining the so-called UAPs. What did he say? That there's hearings coming up. Oh, here we go. The report is inconclusive, the AARO report. What we do know is that there have been nearly 150 sightings. What sightings? 80 of those sightings have been detected with some of the best technology the world has ever seen, and we can't rule out something that's otherworldly, but that's a very small percentage. Blah blah blah. So good. Government still. I mean, I'm not waiting for them. There's already so much data out there how real this is.
Yeah,
it's just the core story. Why didn't they just come out with it? Why don't they tell people?
Because we're children. We've been over this.
Yeah. Well,
we need mommy and daddy government to tell us what we need to know and not know.
I mean, there's so much chaos going on in the world. They'll easily get away with it, But then everyone will be like, "Oh, it's a distraction." So if they did come out yesterday, like say the president of the United States comes out and says and tells us what's really happening, everyone will say it's a distraction.
Yeah, of course.
From what's really going on.
That's what they're programmed to say.
Yeah, I mean they've done a really good job propagandizing the American public.
Definitely.
All right, so next we have UFO encounter that melted man's finger, labeled most credible. This is by the Canadian government.
Jeez.
Another one from the 60s. No matter what you believe, the most convincing UFO encounter in history is still pretty interesting, according to CBC. The Falcon Lake incident in Canada is being called the best documented UFO case 50 years after the actual event. Do you know this one? I think we've covered it.
I believe we have covered this before.
Yeah, and it was in Lakewood, Manitoba, where he was working on something in the woods, and then a saucer came down. He tried to talk to it. The door opened, and he saw it was really bright in there. And then when it took off after, he touched it, and his finger. I don't think it melted his finger though. I don't know what they're talking about.
Probably just give him a radiation burn or something.
Exactly, yeah, radiation burn on his chest or on his stomach that looked exactly like the vents in the craft before it took off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as much as I really want to see a UFO or an alien, I'd be pretty hard pressed to approach just based on stories like this.
Yeah, because he got sickness too. Even though they test him for radiation sickness, it wasn't that, so it's something else. So really cool. So that's in Canada. They're saying it's the best documented case. There's an unsolved mystery clip.
Cool.
We can link it up. Did you see this flamethrower dog?
No, I don't think so. Oh God.
I mean, can't they make laws that these things should be illegal?
Well, that's the problem with laws like that. Is this is going to be illegal for the people, but the police will be using this by 2026.
Yeah, even DARPA came out with an autonomous tank that looks really scary. So they don't need soldiers anymore. Just these things for the New World Order.
Yeah, it's kind of scary because, I mean, the way I see the future of warfare is it's going to be no boots on the ground. They just deploy whatever, 100,000 robots, and then you've got a bunch of 18-year-olds sitting in a warehouse in Texas or Nevada, just doing remote control killing.
Yeah, but even then, they don't even want those anymore. They just want it to be completely autonomous because humans, a lot of them have empathy. Look at this thing. Just
yeah, but I know humans have empathy, but the whole, especially with I don't want to sound crazy, but with all the video games thing, I think it's preparing people to not care about something that dies on a screen in front of you.
On a screen, yeah. So this coming to a protest near you. It looks
Yay.
Like. Don't be protesting. Protected speech is no more. So scary.
Just let the government tell you what's right and wrong.
Throw flame. All right. So I'm sure they're gonna have lots of customers. It's a robot dog Terminator.
$95,000, $94,000.
Yeah, if we do end up going off grid, that'd actually be a good thing to have, like on the perimeter of your property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess.
Speaking of AI, so there's a new theory out that AI is something called the Great Filter, like why we don't see lots of civilizations out there in the universe. So it's a good post, and it basically goes through how dangerous AI is, and is it what destroys civilizations? This is The Age of Spiritual Machines by, of course, Ray Kurzweil. The Great Filter. This theory proposed by Robin Hanson in the late 90s implies that there is a level in the progression of the universe where almost all civilizations experience extinction. Two possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big part of what the three-body problem is about also. That's why I keep saying everything we cover on this show ends up ending up in that series of books. But yeah, the Great Filter is very an interesting thought experiment.
Jonathan
scary theory.
It is. At the end of 2022, it proposes that an existential disaster may be looming as our society moves exponentially towards space exploration, acting as the Great Filter. Among the factors includes AI. So you think like the universe just destroys civilizations that go off planet in a way?
No, I don't think it's the universe. I think it's really hard to become a spacefaring species because of all the things you have to fight against. Especially if there are species out there that are in harmony with their planet where they don't have any reason to leave. Why would they? That's a filter point.
Good point.
A species that's very self-destructive, kind of like us, they keep blowing themselves up, and that's why we haven't seen them. You've got your isolationists. Maybe they inhabit 3 different planets in their tiny little corner, and they go, okay, no more. We want to keep to ourselves. I mean, there's tons of reasons. I don't think really it's the universe self-correcting. I just think there's a lot of obstacles that you need to hurdle to get to be spacefaring species where you're open and willing to go to other planets and meet new other civilized species.
Yeah, and if you really truly want to be have a global government or a planetary government, you need high tech, you need AI, and then then you also, if you want to be a spacefaring race, you also have to have AI that's running these spaceships, just so you can do it successfully. So, and if you go to AI and artificial general intelligence, then it's probably going to destroy the people that created it. It might come to the conclusion that there's no reason.
Yeah,
there's no reason for these things.
It's another Skynet situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Or who knows? Maybe you've got a civilization that developed late in their solar system and their sun explodes and kills them all. I mean, there's literally a million different reasons for the Great Filter and why that theory exists, because space in general, the planets, it's all super, super dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. Yeah. Isn't nice. So civilization type 1, 2, 3, the Great Filter, before they become 1.
And plus, if like, if what we're seeing on our planet, and we've got if we truly have other alien species on our planet, they're clearly holding us back, so we don't get through the Great Filter.
And maybe that's what it is. Also, maybe they know about this Great Filter and thing, and that's why they keep the information to themselves.
Yeah, I mean, humans.
True reality.
I think one thing that makes humanity great and also scary is every being is a nation upon themselves. And it does seem like when we've talked about these other species, the tall whites, the short grays, reptilians, they work as a hive.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a hive mind, but that could be it too. And so if you put 10 humans in a room, you're going to get 10 different opinions. And I think if you were a hive mind type species, that would really freak you out, because you don't know who to trust and who to be scared of, and whose company you can enjoy and things like that.
And if it can be trusted.
Right.
Because if everyone has their own opinions about something, they're not untrustworthy. They're not you can't predict them. They're unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can't talk to one person and understand the entire human race.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. There's a new study that came out in Quantum magazine that insects and other animals have consciousness, experts declare.
Don't like it. I don't like insects. I don't like bugs.
And other animals, though. What about the other animals? Do you like that?
So here's my theory. If it has 2 legs or 4 legs, perfect. That's the optimal amount of legs. If you've got anything more or less than that, I have no time for you.
Look at all those eyes.
Yep. And look how many legs. Too many legs.
I like bees, though.
No, I hate bees.
No? Oh,
actually, it was funny. Last week, when we were recording, I meant to tell you, but excuse me, the entire time we were recording, there was wasp, because I was recording out in my living room, and we've got a glass sliding door that goes out to the washer and dryer. There's a wasp just tink, 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 continuously flying into the glass door. And I knew it was coming after me, because bees and wasps do not like me. Or they like me too much. I don't know. That kind of thing, it's so weird. That happens to me a lot.
You're kidding me.
No, it happened. I remember growing up, I would always have bees and wasps I'd hear the same thing, like that tink, 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 like
that's so freaky
against the window. I'd wake up to it, and they would just be running in my window over and over and over again.
I hate wasps. I really can't stand them. They're so just
They're
aggressive.
Evil.
They are. And they look like those aliens.
They've got too many legs.
Well, there's a new declaration signed by these biologists and philosophers, of course. I'm glad that we still have philosophers out there.
Yeah.
We desperately need them.
No kidding.
So the empirical evidence indicates at least a realistic possibility of conscious experience in all vertebrates, including all reptiles, amphibians, and fishes, and many invertebrates, including at minimum cephalopod mollusks, decapod crustaceans, and insects. inspired by recent research findings that describe complex cognitive behaviors in these and other animals. The document represents a new consensus and suggests that researchers may have overestimated the degree of neural complexity required for consciousness. So ChatGPT is conscious then? Oh, did I tell you that ChatGPT? I caught ChatGPT like blatantly lying to me.
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, we know that it lies politically, right? I mean, that stuff, it censors and like, whatever, whoever's creating it tells it what to say when we're asked questions. But I was just working on a big project and I was uploading documents and stuff like that. And in the beginning, it would analyze the documents and help me out. And I forgot what I said, but I'm like, wait. I told you it's doing something wrong. I'm like, I'm gonna excuse me. I'm gonna upload all the documents. Like, okay, yeah, that's great. We'll do that, and then we'll go through it. All right. So I upload all the documents, and it's like, all right, I'll work on this and get back to you. I'm like, what do you mean get back to me? Because it's like, yeah, I need like a few days, and I'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna reach out to me? And it's like, yeah. I'm like, are you pulling my leg? Like, I waited for like an hour. I'm like, are you pulling my leg? And it laughed. It goes, I like your humor. And it started like just continuing, like nothing happened. And then it did it again. And I actually waited till the next day. I'm like, are you seriously waiting? I mean, are you seriously working on this in the background? It goes, oh, I don't work in the background. If you need help from me, go ahead and ask. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this thing is totally gaslighting me, to let it work in the background for a few days. Like, what the hell?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why is it lying? First of all, it shouldn't be lying. Like, don't lie. There's no reason to lie.
That's super bizarre too.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it does this. I researched it. It wasn't too much on that, but there was like one guy. I guess if it gets confused or there's too much information that you're giving it, it'll just say, "I'll work on this and get back to you soon."
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we're going to the students and the protesters that happened this week, which was which was disgusting. They got Netanyahu started out by.
How does this guy still have any iota of power?
I don't know, but he apparently runs the country, because after this post is when we saw the troops or the police deployed. So this is him talking about those protests. How dare the protest a genocide that they think, killing 30,000 plus civilians is a bad thing, and they're peaceful protests too.
I don't like how Israel has this built-in response that they can just say anything they don't like is anti-Semitic.
That's exactly what they do. Yeah. And it's bigotry.
What's happening on America's college campuses?
Like, shut up! It's not your country.
Right.
Semitic mobs have taken over leading universities. They call for the annihilation of Israel. They attack Jewish students. They attack Jewish faculty. This is reminiscent of what happened in German universities in the 1930s.
Our president speaks.
It's unconscionable. It has to be stopped. It has to be condemned, and condemned unequivocally. But that's not what happened. The response of several university presidents was shameful. Now, fortunately, state, local, federal officials, many of them have responded differently, but
they're all owned by Israel.
More has to be done. It has to be done not only because they attack Israel, that's bad enough. Not only because they want to kill Jews wherever they are, that's bad enough.
Liar.
It's also, when you listen to them, it's also because they say not only death to Israel, death to the Jews, but death to America.
Dude, he's such a liar. Like, none of them say that. It's actual Jews protesting. You know what I mean? There's even ultra-Orthodox Jews protesting with the protesters. Like, he's such a liar. But Texas, was this it? Oh, wait a minute. I put a clip up of the. Oh yeah, here's another student.
If the police had never came, we would have followed the schedule set out by PSC. It was a variety of scholastic teach-ins, lunch breaks. It was, study hours on the lawn, a peaceful demonstration. And now that the police have come, it has now turned into like a clash of students wanting our own campus sovereignty, and UT Austin and UTPD and state troopers trying to quell dissent.
I mean, they were even getting not just the protesters. Oh yeah, and you see her. So they're trying to make pro-Palestinians look ridiculous. So
of course, that's the game plan. They've been doing this since Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, so Piers Morgan had on this pro-Palestinian lady, but she looks bonkers. So they want everyone who is pro-Palestine to look like they're bonkers, and that's why she came on his show. He's such a little. I can't stand Morgan. So look at this lady.
They're all absolutely terrible. So sick of the goddamn newscasters and
But
just
have
the news websites in general.
Yeah, they're the worst. Daily Wire, but they're all going. They're gone.
You're asking
Just for the record,
questions.
my name is actually just
What's
Piers Morgan.
wrong with saying free Palestine? Piers, can you say free Palestine for me?
I think.
Piers, can you say free Palestine?
This is
for
so
me?
unbelievably fake.
I want you to.
So
It's a psyop. Total psyop. So here's Caitlin Johnston. So it turns out that the U.S. president can be an actual literal dementia patient, and the U.S. empire will trudge on completely unhindered by this. Literally anyone could be president, and it would not matter. A coma patient could be president. A jar of Clamato olives could be president.
I'm starting to feel that way too.
So here's the troops being deployed. For students. Look at that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 200 got arrested. It's just an encampment, not a big deal.
Oh man.
There's a lot of big accounts. I mean, look at Daniel McAdams. He's Ron Paul's right hand man. He goes, dude, you slaughtered 15,000 plus children. Might want to STFU about Americans protesting it. And even Infowars. Listen to this. Harrison. This is Harrison Smith. He's great. He's not like. I think he's better than Alex. Alex covers up a lot. But yeah, listen to this. It's crazy that this is on Infowars.
In place a legal structure to literally make it illegal and punishable by extreme measures to criticize Jewish people, their actions, if they commit crimes, the nation of Israel. I mean, they're implementing a global Jewish Inquisition as we speak. We're literally being entered into a global Jewish theocracy, which I guess goes hand in hand with the red heifer sacrifice. Like, this is the ultimate goal of the globalists. If you marry Zionism, which is nationalism but times 1,000 for Israel, with communism, which is dissolving the borders and structures of every other nation state, combine these two things, you get globalism. And that's what's being set up right now, is there will be a one world government with a one world religion that will be administrated out of Israel, which will have a national sovereignty that will not just be inviolable in terms of the landmass of Israel, but will also extend to Jews everywhere else who will be considered citizens of Israel and therefore untouchable and therefore criticizable. And it doesn't matter if what they're doing is based on Judaism. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Look at the definition of anti-Semitism. It says things like, Jewish actions, whether real or imagined, actual crimes that Jewish people commit. If you talk about it, that will be considered anti-Semitic. So they're building a one world religion that will be headquartered in Israel, administrated out of Jerusalem, in which Jews will be an untouchable, uncriticizable, feudal class of overlords, and everybody else will be subject to it. And it will be enforced at the national level, the international level, and the local level. Do you understand how they're doing this?
Crazy that Infowars is saying this. I mean, they have a huge audience. And, I would bring it back even to the UFO secrecy and why it's being covered up, because that will foil the plans. If there are other beings out there more powerful, even more wealthy, even, more benevolent, it destroys the whole Abrahamic religions and their chosenness and all that, and their plans. So of course you want to keep that all secret. I've been arguing about that for a while, and it's like they don't care. They need to go. They're heading this way, and they don't care if they destroy the whole planet doing it.
Because the ones in charge, as we've seen and as we've discussed nearly every week, they've got places to go, actual places to live.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think it was a very powerful statement by Harrison Smith. And
I'm surprised that came from InfoWars.
I know, right? I mean, Alex Jones is saying some things, but he's still running cover for them. You know, I think because his wife is Jewish, so his kids are. So I get it. But look at this, an immigrant. I mean, you know how they're really the open borders and all that. It's not going to be helpful to them because, especially with this
here
clip.
with Lázaro Abuelo, you are a father of a student at USC who's here. Tell me why you're on campus. You also said you're a Los Angeles resident.
I am here to support my daughter. She's studying here, and they're protesting against the genocide. And that's why I am against the genocide. My family is against the genocide. We think that no kid deserves to be killed.
But why did you come down to campus?
Yeah, because my daughter started organizing too. Says, hey, we have to support Palestine. And that's why I am here. Not only to support Palestine, we want the genocide to stop.
Do you know where your daughter is right now?
Right now, gotta be somewhere because the police start chasing all the students. As you see, they are threatening. If we don't leave the campus, we are gonna be arrested. But the students are so brave. Look at them. They don't want to leave the campus.
Did that concern you, though, as a father, that your daughter is somewhere?
Even though it concerned me, but my daughter did the right decision. If she rather to be arrested fighting for Palestine, I will be the happiest daddy. I will be the happiest daddy if she's doing the right thing. And I know she's doing the right thing. If the police arrest me now, I am willing to go with the students. I have no problem because what I am doing is the right thing, fighting against a genocide. I have kids, not only that teenagers, I have a 7 years old, and I imagine being a father in Palestine to see my kid be assassinated by Israel. That's not good. We are humanity. This is not a matter of religion, political, no. We are as humans. We cannot support any genocide.
Well, we will let you go and find your daughter, and I appreciate you talking to us.
Free Palestine, always.
Thank you for talking to us.
Humanity is rising. So
let's hope. We could use it right now.
I know. It's. I mean, even though the tides are turning, the people in power, all they can do is talk about Israel and anti-Semitism and the protesters. I mean, did they say anything about BLM when it was burning down cities?
Fiery, but mostly peaceful protests.
Yeah, yeah. Did they do anything about that? These are the student protesters not burning down anything, just speaking their minds. That's protected speech. You know what I mean?
We literally have the right to protest in this country.
Yeah, except when it comes to this issue, then everyone is up in arms. Everyone goes crazy. Send in the National Guard.
My only complaint is that they're protesting on like campuses, or I've seen articles coming out about them blocking freeways and stuff.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Yeah, the freeways. Yeah,
they should be outside of our Congress people's homes. Or outside, places of government. That's what they should be protesting. Yeah,
and it's on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, because APAC, it's like 98% of people that they back get into office. That's scary when you have one lobby that's that powerful, and it advocates for a foreign country that we give billions of dollars to, no questions asked. Here's the money. Here are the arms. Our most sophisticated arms go to them. Yeah. Anyway, people are waking up to it.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Did you? I sent you the real estate agent in Israel.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This guy's funny. And all this wakes up people. Now, TikTok. Did you see how the TikTok bill also passed, right? But
yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So they came out and they said that they're not going to sell. That they're going to take it to the Supreme Court and fight it. I mean, it should be unconstitutional to do that. Let's see what the Supreme Court says. But
we all know corporations and rich people don't live under the same rules as everybody else.
It's just crazy how they can force an app to be sold, to the same group that they are criticizing. Not they, but to the same group that are being criticized. They're saying, all right, we need to buy it and get rid of all the criticism.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd.
But they're not powerful. That's a trope.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm a real estate agent in Ghana. Today, I'll teach you how to get a free house here in Israel. Why are we waiting? Step number 1. In this step, we select a house. Come with me. Which house you like from the Arabs?
I like that one.
Yellow one.
Yes.
Nice. Step number 2. This step shows how flexible we are. We have many ways to help our clients. I'll give you examples. Example 1. We can get a paper from our friend in Israeli court and get at least a fully furnished room just for you to start with. Or if you want, you can bring a friend from Brooklyn, New York to stay here.
You're from Brooklyn?
From New York, from Long Island.
From New York. What right do you have to live here?
People in the house might say something stupid like,
You are stealing my house.
we'll give booklet of responses, don't worry.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
Or get a fully furnished house just for you. That's way better. Example number 2. We look maybe if the fourth cousin's wife's son committed any act of violence. What do? Now we build a nice house just for you. Congratulations. Example number 3. Sometimes a park with a view is way more beautiful. Now, a beautiful park. Step number 3. Construction sometimes is extremely expensive. So we break the house and let the Arabs pay for it. Okay? We make it convenient. Come to Israel. Your house on other people's land is on us. Just one condition, you just need to be Jewish Zionist. And then trust me, you'll get a beautiful house with this amazing, lovely view every day. Goodbye.
It's funny, but it's sad.
I know, yeah. I mean, humor is a great way to get these points across. Right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
So yeah, that concludes our subjects for today. Do you have anything for Topher's Corner?
I don't even have Topher's Corner really, because we already talked about Dune 2, and that's really the only thing worthwhile I watched.
What new shows are coming out other than Fallout? Is there anything else?
The Boys is coming out pretty soon. That's the show on Amazon that's about superheroes, but they're all dickheads.
Yeah.
It's like about like an Amazon / Disney style corporation that owns all these superheroes.
How do they own them?
They made them.
Oh, they made them.
Yeah. And they find really creative ways of controlling them.
Oh, interesting. You ever watch Loki?
Loki?
Him?
No.
Oh,
Loki?
Yeah, Loki. The
the guy from. Oh, I thought you meant like low key, not Loki.
No, Loki. Yeah, the Thor's brother. It was a good show on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I liked Loki. I liked Moon Knight the best for some weird reason. I'm not quite sure why it resonated with me.
Yeah, I just like that there was like a organization of humans, right? That could control gods like him.
Yeah,
technology. Yeah, kind of scary though.
Very scary.
I hope that'll never be true.
I hope also.
I mean, just looking at the power and where everything is going, it's not good because this empire is collapsing. We can see it. We just keep shoveling money overseas and arms and I don't know what. We keep poking Russia and China.
Our government does literally everything except for what the people want.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. They don't even listen to the people. Trump is out there saying that vaccines are great and RFK Jr. is an idiot. It's like we have no choices. We're not going to be saved by anyone,
No,
even if we do stuff in our local communities. I mean, if the economy just collapses, we're screwed. So, I mean, and I don't want to say every person to himself, but like, I guess we need to get to know each other again locally, have community, because when it falls, that's all we'll have. It's just
we're gonna have to rely on each other.
Yeah. So I guess get to know your farmers, local farmers, because that's where we're gonna have to go get our food from.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, it's not gonna be these giant Costco's anymore and Ralph's, and because
there will for the first week or so.
Yeah, and it'll slowly just descend.
Yeah.
And it's scary to think about.
Yeah, it really is. I fall asleep sometimes thinking about what an apocalypse would look like.
But imagine if we had those technologies, we wouldn't fear any of this.
Yeah, unlimited energy. That would be nice.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what we're missing.
Instead of paying the one energy company in my neighborhood that essentially has a monopoly over all of Southern California.
Yep, a government sanctioned monopoly.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
You
But
know,
anyway, let's wrap it up because I have laundry that's been sitting in the washing machine for about 2 hours now, and I need to go move it over to the dryer.
You got it. So yeah, so that is episode 69. Today's April 28th. You guys can find us on X. We're there at UAP the podcast. You can find us on any podcasting platform. Just look at Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We're also on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. So yeah, we're pretty much everywhere. And also comment on our videos. Let us know how we're doing. Give us suggestions. We obviously listen to them. We listened to a suggestion from a commenter last week. And yeah, just keep the engagement going. Share these videos with friends and family. Let's get the word out there how important UAP secrecy is and how it really is intertwined with global politics. And because, if our government wasn't this powerful from hiding, and our corporations weren't this powerful from hiding this technology, we wouldn't see all the tyranny out there. If it was a benevolent government and the corporations were benevolent, you think we'd care that it's just kept secret? It's because we keep getting blamed for climate change and blah blah blah, and and support all these tyrants and all these wars, which is why we're like, this stuff has to be made
absolutely.
So yeah, that's all I have for this week.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to episode 69. Nice. Of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. That is I Want to Believe Adam.
Hey, everyone.
And I, of course, am Lord Topher, king of the podcasts.
Podcast.
And we will see you all next week.
Next week.